An inquest into the death of 27-year-old Kimberly Cameron, who died after being hit by a Thames Valley police car on the 16th of April 2021 on the A41 Bicester Road at Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire, concluded this week at Beaconsfield Coroner's Court. Kimberly Cameron was pronounced dead at the scene after the Thames Valley police car, travelling at speeds in excess of 60 miles an hour in a 40 mile an hour zone, struck her as she crossed the road. The inquest concluded that Kimberly died as the result of a road traffic collision. The IOPC said that in their investigation, which concluded in February this year, it was determined that the police constables were responding to a report of a car crash on the A41 in Waddesdon, where 2 children were trapped in the car, which was on fire. The call was assigned Grade 1, which meant an immediate response within 15 minutes was required. The officer, who was driving a marked police vehicle, encountered slow-moving traffic, so moved into the oncoming lane where there was little to no traffic. His vehicle was travelling at approximately 62 miles an hour in a 40 mile an hour zone with its lights and sirens on when it struck Ms Cameron as she crossed between 2 stationary cars on a pedestrian crossing when the lights were at green for traffic. It is believed she may have been wearing her noise-cancelling earbuds as they were found nearby. We concluded that even if the officer had been driving at or below the speed limit, it is likely he would not have been able to brake in time to avoid hitting Ms Cameron. Sadly, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Kimberly's father complained to the IOPC about the manner of the driving which caused his daughter's death, specifically the speed and hazard perception. However, the IOPC concluded that the service provided by the police was acceptable. In other words, they did nothing wrong. Now, although Kimberly is said to have stepped out between 2 parked cars, which is a recipe for disaster, and although police are allowed to break the rules of the road, I don't think the police should get off completely with being involved with the death of a pedestrian. I mean, unless somebody is actively crouching down behind a parked car, waiting for a police car to cross into oncoming traffic before throwing themselves out in front of the car, then there is always, in my mind, the question of due care and attention. It's highly unlikely that a member of the public in similar situation would get away with not being done for at least one moving traffic offence. But the police get away with it all the time, simply because of the excuse attending an emergency. I don't believe any emergency is serious enough to put other people's lives at risk, and although police need to get to a location in some instances very quickly, seeing other members of the public as collateral damage just isn't acceptable, in my opinion. IOPC Regional Director Graham Beasley said, "Our thoughts are with Kimberly's family, friends and all those affected by this incident. All our evidence suggests that Kimberly's death was a tragic accident. Our investigation was independent of the police and aimed to understand events leading up to the collision. We found the officer who was driving acted appropriately and in line with the Thames Valley Police driver policy. The evidence we gathered was provided to the coroner to assist with the inquest proceedings, which we hope has helped answer some of Kimberly's family's questions about that day." A tragic accident. I thought the word accident was removed from traffic offences because there's no such thing as an accident where no one is to blame. Well, of course, the blame has to lay somewhere, and so they started calling them road traffic collisions rather than road traffic accidents. But yet in the case of police being involved, they revert to calling it an accident again. Don't get me wrong, if Kimberly walked out from between 2 parked cars, then she is just as much to blame. I'm sorry, but that's true, and I won't sugarcoat that. But regardless, I believe a police driver with their advanced driving training should have been surveying his surroundings and anticipating the road ahead, just as we are all taught in standard driving lessons. My thoughts, of course, are with Kimberly's family, as they get nothing from as a result of the death of their child, while the investigation seemingly places all the blame on her.